represents. I'm that brother who you, I'm that brother who you, trying to kill my crew, trying to kill my team.
Hello everybody, welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment. First of all, I just want to give a shout out to MJ for allowing me to be on his channel, but let's go ahead and get into it. My top 5 positional rankings. So I'm going to start off with the wide receivers because I know that's how much, this is the one that's going to get all the beef down in the comments and how stupid I am. So at number 5, I have Allen Robinson. He was 6 in total yards. He's only 23. Has only had 2 seasons under his belt. He's 6'3", 215. Athletic freak, and he has the size. And he was tied for most touchdowns in the entire league, for wide receivers at least. He had 31 catches, over 20-plus yards, which was the most out of all the wide receivers. I think the closest one to that was like 23, 25, somewhere around there. So you know that he's going to be able to get those, longer balls as well. Number 4, I have Brandon Marshall. Now, if you would have told me before this that I would put Brandon Marshall on my top 5, I would not have agreed with you. I would have not have said so. But after looking at the facts, there's no way I could keep him out of it. He was 4th in yards, tied for 5th in receptions, tied for 1st in touchdowns with Allen Robinson, and before that he's had 8 seasons with 1,000 yards or more. So that's absolutely ridiculous. And last season was his 2nd best season that he's ever had. So for somehow he's out of his prime, but he's doing even better. Which with an addition of Matt Forte, I just see him getting more open looks and more one-on-ones, which he will be able to capitalize on. But here is where the real beef comes in. Number 3, Antonio Brown. Now, I know his numbers are absolutely ridiculous. I know that he is a freak of nature. I know he's probably the biggest headache to every team. But me personally, I believe that the system that he's in is an absolute perfect fit for him, okay? And I'm doing these rankings based off the individual guy, so I have to put him at 3rd. He has a Hall of Fame quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, one of the best dual threat running backs in Le'Veon Bell, and one of the best the second wide receiver in Martavis Bryant, and he had a good tight end in Heath Miller. So their offense was just so good that he was basically the perfect fit with them. You have to think about it from the bubble screens, the quick slants, and the hitches. But there's no doubt that these top 3 guys are inches away from, centimeters away from each other. So I have him at number 3. Number 2, I have DeAndre Hopkins. Now, one of the biggest reasons for the 3-2 mark with the Antonio Brown and DeAndre Hopkins, when Big Ben was out, he had 37 yards per game in the first 3 games that Big Ben was out. Antonio Brown did. And DeAndre Hopkins had 1,500 yards per year with 3 guys who are known to be backup quarterbacks who are below average quarterbacks, and he was 3rd in yards. Now, that's just because he's an athletic freak. He has probably the best hands in the league, second to OBJ. Did you guys see that one-hander that he had? That was a penalty. That was absolutely ridiculous. But I have him at 2nd. Number 1, I have Julio Jones. I think this one's not obvious, but I think if you had to pick one, he's the clear guy. 1st in yards per game. The season before this, he had 1,500 yards. So this isn't just random. This is how good he is. And except for Devonta Freeman, there's really not that many weapons on the Falcons. And he makes Matt Ryan basically a above average quarterback when he's just kind of an average quarterback without Julio. So let's go ahead. Honorable mentions, I have A.J. Green, Demaryius Thomas, and OBJ. I know a lot of people are going to be mad I had OBJ out, but just kind of look at the facts and then tell me who you think would be better or who you'd rather have. So let's go ahead and get into running backs. At number 5, I have Devonta Freeman. He's a dual threat guy. He came on the scene last year huge. He was having games where he'd have over 150 yards per game, or total yards in the game. But he didn't start for 2 games, and he didn't play in 1. And he was still 3rd in reception yards and 10th in yards per game. So he's definitely up there with the top 5. At number 4, I have Le'Veon Bell. Dual threat guy, 2nd in yards per game before the injury. And he had 4.9 yards per carry. That is just out of this world. That is ridiculous. But yeah, I'm expecting him to come back strong and have a really good year. Number 3, I have Todd Gurley. If you had a basis off of running the ball, I would probably put Todd Gurley maybe in 1st or 2nd. But he's not as big as a dual threat guy as the 2 that I have in front of him. But he doesn't really have any weapons around him. and his divisional opponent defenses are absolutely ridiculous. Like, I mean, you got to think the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the 49ers. You know, those are good, tough defenses to run against. So, and he had 4.8 yards per carry, which is ridiculous, especially for a rookie. That's absolutely out of this world. All right, number 2, I have Jamaal Charles. Dual threat guy. I think he's one of the best in history, dual threat-wise. And he had 5.1 yards per carry. That is just unheard of. Over 5 yards a carry. Just give him the ball twice and you'll win every game. Or give him the ball twice and you'll get a first down. And then just keep on giving it to him and you'll win you'll win every game. And then first AP, like, I mean, he's just the GOAT. First in yards per game and first in yardage. Teddy Bridgewater is only getting better, and they only have more guys on their squad. They only have more weapons. Laquan Treadwell, Stephon Diggs. Like, I mean, they're going to be really good, and he's going to have open spaces in the opponent's defense because of all these weapons. Honorable mentions, I have to go Doug Martin, Jonathan Stewart, and LaShawn McCoy. Okay, let's go to QBs. I have Big Ben at number 5. Now, the only reason why he's not up more is because of his touchdown to interception ratio, 21-16. That was awful, basically. But he was first in yards per game. And me, personally, I just can't think of more than 4 QBs that I'd rather have on my team than Big Ben. Number 4, I have Drew Brees. He's old, but this dude is aging like fine wine. He's 68% completion. Most yards thrown, 31-11 touchdown to interception ratio. Second in yards per game. This was without Jimmy Graham, too. One of his biggest targets, and now he's just getting Coby Fleener, Michael Thomas out of the draft, so I think he will be very good this season. Number 3, this is where it gets, iffy on my guys. I have Cam Newton at number 3. His rushing yards, first in the league, but if you look at his passing stats, they aren't very good. Now, it's nothing against, I love Cam Newton, okay? I love when he dabs and stuff like that, so don't think I'm that kind of guy, but I mean, pass percentage-wise, he's just not up there with the top tier. That's something that he definitely needs to work on. But, like, I mean, he carried the Carolina Panthers to the Super Bowl. They had no weapons offensively. He's basically just his own offense. He's an absolute freak. So, but I had him put him at 3, and this is why, because the other 2 guys ahead of him are so goddamn good. Now, Tom Brady, 4th in yards per game, 3rd in yards, 36-7 touchdown to interception ratio. That is absolutely unheard of. This dude is an absolute freak, and he's getting Martellus Bennett. Man, I hate Tom Brady. I'm not even kidding. I hate him, and I can't not diss him right now. I have him at number 2, but number 1, I have Aaron Rodgers, 31-8 touchdown to interception ratio. Not as good as Tom Brady, but this is what separates him. He has the strongest arm in the league. He has the most accurate arm in the league, and he has the best pocket awareness in the league. And he was 2nd in quarterbacks in rushing yards. So this dude can literally do it all. He's an absolute freak of nature. He's the best quarterback, and he's probably going to be my MVP candidate. But honorable mentions, I have Phillip Rivers, Carson Palmer, and Andy Dalton. Tight ends, let's go ahead and get into it. I have number 5, Tyler Eifert. Just athletic freak. Dude's big. He had the most touchdowns in the league. Number 4, Gary Barnidge. Big, athletic. No real weapons on the Browns, and then he emerged in the scene. Dude's an absolute animal. Number 3, I have Greg Olsen, number 1 target throughout the years for the Carolina Panthers. I can't put more than 2 guys ahead of him because he always delivers. Number 2, I have Jordan Reed. Dude's just the matchup nightmare. There's really nobody that can guard him in my opinion. If you're a corner, you're not big enough to guard him. If you're a safety, you're too slow to guard him. And if you're a linebacker, you're definitely too slow to guard him. But maybe some safeties will be able to guard him. But I think that he is going to have a breakout year if he stays healthy, and he's definitely a top 2 tight end. But first, I think Gronk is the obvious guy. Physically, just out of this world. Dude's an animal. But, he's just, I can't, as much as I don't like the Patriots and him, basically, I can't not put anybody in front of him. But honorable mentions, I have Delaney Walker, Travis Kelce, and Jimmy Graham. Now, let's get into the defensive side of the ball. I have Marcus Peters at number 5 for the cornerbacks. Led the cornerbacks in interceptions, 34 pass defenses, and he's young and growing. He was Rookie of the Year last year for defensive side of the ball. I just can't see him getting anything but better. Number 4, Darrell Revis. He had 5 interceptions, 4 fumble recoveries. He's still a top guy. Don't get it twisted. DeAndre Hopkins did burn him one play, but he's a corner. It happens. And I just don't see how you can't put him in the top 5. He goes against the best guys all the time. Every time, basically, for his basically whole career. So I had to put him in my top 5. Number 3, I have Chris Harris Jr. Now, he's in the prime of his career. He's athletic as can be. But he's one of those good getters, like a Tyrann Mathieu, which I love. So I had to put him in my top 5. Number 2, Richard Sherman. His tackling ability is probably the best out of the corners. His lockdown, he's getting less and less targets as the season goes by. So that just proves that his lockdown ability is just getting better. And number 1, Patrick Peterson. He's kind of the dude to me, cornerback wise. I think he's the mecca. He always goes against the best, and he always holds his own. It's just how it is. At honorable mentions, I have Stephon Gilmore, Josh Norman, Desmond Trufant, and Malcolm Butler. For safeties, number 5, Eric Berry. His size and speed is absolutely ridiculous. He's one of the most athletic safeties there is. He has the ability to guard the tight ends, especially after coming back from the cancer thing. How crazy is that to be that good as well? So I had to put him at number 5. Number 4, I have Harrison Smith. He missed 3 games last year, but he still had 66 tackles, 2 picks, a forced fumble, and 1.5 sacks while getting into his prime as he is. So I had to put him in there. He's definitely going to be one of the best safeties next year. Rashad Jones is number 3. This dude is one of my favorite players in the NFL. He had 2 pick sixes last year and the most tackles out of all the safeties. He's basically a diamond out of the Miami defense is rough, basically. Number 2, Earl Thomas, 64 tackles and a forced fumble. He's just one of those guys that that he's one of the best safeties, can guard the best guys, so he's definitely up there with the best. Number 1, I have Tyrann Mathieu. Now listen to this. This is absolutely ridiculous. This was before his injury. He had 89 tackles, 5 interceptions, forced fumble, 17 knockdowns, and 14 games. That's ridiculous. Honorable mentions, I have Malcolm Jenkins and Cam Chancellor. Defensive ends, Number 5, I have Muhammad Wilkerson, 39 total tackles, 12 sacks. Number 4, I have Carlos Dunlap, 37 total tackles, 13.5 sacks. Number 3, I have Von Miller. Dude's an absolute beast. We all know that. 2, J.J. Watt, which is surprising to some people, 57, 17.5 sacks. But number 1, I have to go Khalil Mack. He's my favorite player. He's going to be Defensive Player of the Year next year. I'm telling you, I love Khalil. Honorable mention, Fletcher Cox, Ezekiel Ansah, and Chandler Jones, and Jason Pierre-Paul. That was for defensive end. Linebacker, last one, C.J. Mosley, Paul Polunzny, number 3, Vontaze Burfict, Luke Kuechly, and Navarro Bowman. Honorable mentions, Levante David, DeAndre Levy, and Derek Swanson. But other than that, C.J. Mosley, 117 combined tackles. Paul Polunzny, 103 total tackles, 133 combined. Vontaze Burfict, I love him. I'm a Bengals fan. You guys can suck it if you don't like him. I don't even care. But he's definitely one of the best linebackers in the league. Luke Kuechly, he's basically Captain America. You can trust him with anything. He's awesome. And number 1, Navarro Bowman. He had the most tackles and combined tackles in the league. He's definitely the best linebacker in my opinion. But other than that, I just want to thank MJ for this opportunity. My channel is called Sports Dispute TV. I'm pretty sure the information will be down at the bottom. I cover UFC, NBA, and NFL. I cannot thank MJ enough. This channel right here, Sports Fan Entertainment, is one of the most growing channels in YouTube. Is one of the best channels. I'm telling you, subscribe to him. He knows his stuff. And check out my channel if you want a little bit more info on my 3 sports that I cover. So I just want to thank MJ again. Those are my top 5 positional rankings. And hopefully we have an awesome NFL season. And keep up with MJ's channel and my channel if you want some more information on the upcoming NFL season.